Most people know Kevin Durant as one of the greatest scorers in NBA history. They remember the championships, MVP awards, Olympic gold medals, and unforgettable moments on the court. But while the world watched him dominate basketball, Durant was quietly building something far bigger. Behind every season, he was making calculated business moves, investing in technology startups, expanding into media, partnering with major brands, and turning his earnings into long-term ownership. Instead of thinking like an athlete chasing the next contract, he began thinking like an entrepreneur creating lasting wealth. Years later, those decisions transformed him from an NBA superstar into one of the most influential business figures in sports. So how did Kevin Durant build an empire that extends far beyond basketball? What strategies allowed him to stay ahead of the game, both on and off the court? In this documentary, we'll uncover the vision, the risks, and the decisions that helped Kevin Durant outsmart the NBA and build a billion-dollar legacy. Long before Kevin Durant became one of basketball's biggest names, his journey began in a modest neighborhood outside Washington, D.C. Raised primarily by his mother, Wanda Durant, he learned early that talent alone would never guarantee success. Discipline, resilience, and consistency became the foundation of everything he pursued. As a teenager, Durant stood out not only because of his extraordinary height and shooting ability, but because of his relentless work ethic. Coaches and teammates often described him as someone who was constantly improving, always searching for the next level rather than celebrating the last achievement. His lone college season at the University of Texas confirmed what many scouts already believed: he wasn't just another promising player. He possessed a rare combination of skill, intelligence, and composure that made him one of the most anticipated NBA prospects of his generation. When Durant entered the NBA in 2007, the spotlight focused almost entirely on his scoring ability. Few people noticed that he was also paying close attention to how successful athletes built careers beyond the court. That quiet curiosity would eventually shape a future far greater than anyone imagined. Transition. As Durant's NBA career accelerated, so did his understanding that basketball could become the foundation for something much larger. Kevin Durant entered the NBA as the second overall pick in the 2007 draft, carrying enormous expectations. From his very first season, he proved he belonged among basketball's brightest young stars, earning Rookie of the Year honors with his effortless scoring and calm confidence. But Durant's biggest advantage wasn't just talent, it was his willingness to learn. As the Seattle Supersonics relocated and became the Oklahoma City Thunder, Durant grew alongside a young core that included future stars. The team developed into a championship contender, while Durant refined every part of his game. He studied opponents, adapted to different defenses, and embraced the discipline required to compete at the highest level. Away from the cameras, he was observing something else. He watched veteran athletes negotiate contracts, build personal brands, and create opportunities beyond basketball. Rather than spending every dollar he earned, Durant became increasingly interested in how wealth could be preserved and multiplied through smart decisions. Those early years taught him an important lesson: a successful career isn't measured only by points scored or trophies won. Real success comes from creating opportunities that continue long after the final game is played. Transition. That mindset would soon lead Durant to make one of the most important decisions of his entire career, one that had nothing to do with basketball itself. By the summer of 2016, Kevin Durant had already established himself as one of the NBA's elite players. Yet despite individual success and deep playoff runs, a championship remained out of reach. Every offseason brought the same question: was greatness measured by loyalty, or by winning? Durant made a choice that shocked the basketball world. He signed with the Golden State Warriors, joining a team that had already become one of the league's strongest contenders. The decision sparked intense debate. Fans, analysts, and former players questioned his legacy, while headlines dominated sports media for months. For Durant, however, the move was about more than public opinion. He believed that surrounding himself with excellence would accelerate his growth. On the court, that belief paid off. He captured multiple NBA championships, earned finals MVP honors, and proved he could perform under the brightest spotlight. Off the court, the experience exposed him to a different culture, one driven by innovation, entrepreneurship, and technology. Living in the San Francisco Bay Area placed him at the center of Silicon Valley, where conversations about startups and investing were as common as basketball itself. That environment would soon influence the next chapter of Durant's journey in ways few people expected. Transition. While fans celebrated championships, Durant was preparing for a game that had nothing to do with basketball. Winning championships elevated Kevin Durant's legacy, but something else was capturing his attention. Living near Silicon Valley introduced him to a world where ideas could become billion-dollar companies almost overnight. Entrepreneurs, engineers, and investors weren't chasing trophies. They were building businesses designed to last for decades. Durant became a student again. Instead of simply endorsing products, he wanted to understand how companies were created, funded, and scaled. He attended meetings, asked questions, listened to experienced investors, and spent time learning the language of venture capital. Rather than looking for quick profits, he focused on long-term value. This shift in thinking led him to launch 35 Ventures, a company created with longtime business partner Rich Kleiman. Together, they set out to build more than a traditional athlete brand. Their goal was to invest in promising businesses, produce original media, and create opportunities that would continue long after Durant's playing career. It marked a turning point. Basketball was no longer the destination, it had become the platform. Every game increased his influence, and every business decision expanded his future beyond sports. Transition. With the right team beside him and a clear vision ahead, Durant was finally ready to start investing in the companies shaping tomorrow. Launching 35 Ventures was only the beginning. Kevin Durant wasn't interested in investing simply because it was fashionable among professional athletes. He wanted to identify industries with the potential to reshape everyday life. Together with his investment team, Durant began backing companies in technology, finance, sports, media, and digital platforms. Instead of chasing headlines, he focused on businesses solving real-world problems and creating long-term value. Some investments delivered modest returns, while others grew dramatically as the companies expanded. One of Durant's biggest strengths was recognizing that successful investing isn't about being right every time. It's about building a diversified portfolio where long-term winners outweigh inevitable losses. This approach reflected the same patience he had developed on the basketball court. Championships weren't won in a single game, and wealth wasn't built from a single investment. Both required discipline, preparation, and the willingness to think years ahead. By trusting experienced advisors while continuing to educate himself, Durant evolved from a celebrity investor into someone respected within the business community. His reputation was no longer defined solely by points scored, but by the quality of the decisions he made away from the spotlight. Transition. But investing was only one piece of the puzzle. Durant's next move would give him something even more valuable: control over his own story. As Kevin Durant's investment portfolio expanded, he realized that influence wasn't measured only by money. It was also shaped by storytelling. For years, athletes depended on traditional media to define their careers. Headlines often focused on controversy, statistics, or a single game. Durant saw an opportunity to change that. Through 35 Ventures, he expanded into media production, helping create documentaries, films, podcasts, and digital content that highlighted athletes, entrepreneurs, and overlooked stories. Instead of waiting for someone else to tell those stories, he invested in building the platforms that could tell them directly. It was a strategic shift. Media wasn't just another business. It became a way to strengthen every other part of his growing empire. Original content increased brand value, created new partnerships, and opened doors far beyond professional basketball. More importantly, Durant understood that attention had become one of the world's most valuable assets. Companies compete for it. Brands invest billions to earn it. and those who control compelling stories often create opportunities that extend well beyond their original industry. By owning both the investment and the narrative, Durant was building something far more durable than fame. Transition. But even the smartest investors know that no empire grows without taking calculated risks, and Durant's biggest tests were still ahead. As Kevin Durant's career entered a new phase, his strategy became even clearer. He no longer viewed fame as the ultimate reward, it was a tool. The real objective was ownership. Rather than relying only on endorsement deals, Durant looked for opportunities to build equity. Equity meant having a stake in a company's future, allowing its success to become his success. While endorsement contracts eventually expire, ownership can continue creating value for years, even decades. This philosophy shaped nearly every major business decision he made. Whether supporting emerging technology companies, expanding his media ventures, or exploring opportunities in professional sports ownership, Durant consistently focused on assets that could grow over time. His approach reflected a broader shift taking place across professional sports. Modern athletes were beginning to think less like employees and more like entrepreneurs, using their careers as launchpads for long-term business empires. Durant wasn't simply preparing for retirement. He was designing a future where basketball would become just one chapter of a much larger story. Today, many young athletes study his blueprint, recognizing that the greatest financial victories often happen far from the arena, inside boardrooms where patience, strategy, and ownership matter more than the final score. Transition. But even the strongest business strategy faces unexpected challenges. Durant's next chapter would test not only his investments, but his resilience as a leader and entrepreneur. Success rarely follows a straight path, and Kevin Durant's journey was no exception. Throughout his career, injuries tested his physical limits, while major career decisions brought intense public criticism. Every move he made seemed to generate headlines, debates, and endless opinions. For many athletes, that level of scrutiny can become a distraction. Durant chose a different approach. Instead of allowing criticism to define him, he continued investing in both his career and his businesses. Recovery periods became opportunities to study new industries, strengthen partnerships, and refine long-term plans. He understood that setbacks are temporary, but smart decisions can continue paying dividends for years. His willingness to adapt also became one of his greatest strengths. Whether returning from injury, joining a new team, or expanding his investment portfolio, Durant consistently focused on progress rather than perfection. That mindset transformed obstacles into valuable experience. Each challenge strengthened his reputation, not only as one of basketball's greatest competitors, but as an entrepreneur capable of navigating uncertainty with patience and discipline. By this stage, Durant had built more than a successful career. He had created a diversified foundation designed to withstand the unpredictable nature of professional sports. Transition. With his business empire firmly established, one final question remained: what would Kevin Durant's lasting legacy ultimately become? By the mid-2020s, Kevin Durant's influence could no longer be measured by championships alone. His career had become proof that modern athletes could compete in two worlds at once, performing at the highest level in sports while building lasting businesses beyond it. What makes Durant's approach stand out isn't simply the size of his investments. It's the philosophy behind them. He has consistently emphasized learning, surrounding himself with experienced partners, and making decisions with a long-term perspective rather than chasing quick wins. That example has inspired a new generation of athletes, entrepreneurs, and creators. Increasingly, young professionals see their careers not just as a source of income, but as a platform for ownership, innovation, and financial independence. Durant's story also reflects a broader transformation in professional sports. Today's biggest stars are no longer just competitors on the court. They're investors, founders, producers, and business leaders shaping industries far beyond the game itself. In many ways, Durant didn't just adapt to this new era. He helped define it. Transition. But before we close this story, one final question remains. When basketball history is written decades from now, how should Kevin Durant truly be remembered? By the mid-2020s, Kevin Durant's influence could no longer be measured by championships alone. His career had become proof that modern athletes could compete in two worlds at once, performing at the highest level in sports while building lasting businesses beyond it. What makes Durant's approach stand out isn't simply the size of his investments. It's the philosophy behind them. He has consistently emphasized learning, surrounding himself with experienced partners, and making decisions with a long-term perspective rather than chasing quick wins. That example has inspired a new generation of athletes, entrepreneurs, and creators. Increasingly, young professionals see their careers not just as a source of income, but as a platform for ownership, innovation, and financial independence. Durant's story also reflects a broader transformation in professional sports. Today's biggest stars are no longer just competitors on the court. They're investors, founders, producers, and business leaders shaping industries far beyond the game itself. In many ways, Durant didn't just adapt to this new era. He helped define it. Transition. But before we close this story, one final question remains. When basketball history is written decades from now, how should Kevin Durant truly be remembered?